Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're all doing really well. As always, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and today we're looking at the Kemper Transpose feature. So a little while ago, I did a little video on the harmonizer that's in the Kemper and showed you guys how you can use it to get those sort of Iron Maiden-esque sort of dual guitar kind of harmonies going on. And just recently, somebody watched that video and left a comment on there saying, could you please do a video on the Transpose feature that's on the Kemper? So here we are going through that today. So for anyone who's wondering what the Transpose feature is, it's basically a fancy word for a pitch shifter. If you like, it allows you to tune your guitar down without having to mess with any of the tuners at the top and lose any tension on the strings. So it's a really useful tool if you're wanting to do a very quick detune, especially if you're playing in a live situation and you don't want to do like guitar swaps and stuff like that, or maybe you're limited to just one guitar and you don't want to have to keep, tuning up and down. What comes with down tuning a lot of the time is you have to use extra thick strings as well, different string gauges to make up for the loss of tension. Otherwise, for instance, I'm using Ernie Ball 9.5s right now, so if I wanted to get like a drop A out of this, you're just going to be, like your strings are going to be spaghetti basically. So it allows you to not have to worry about that, and it really allows you to go down to those low tunings without even thinking about it. All you have to do is hit a button and that's it. It's very simple. I guess what got me into this and made me sort of aware of this sort of thing was a band called Wage War, who are a great metalcore band. If you've not checked those guys out and you like all the heavy stuff and low tunings, go check those guys out. I started listening to the Deadweight album, and there's a couple of songs on there where they just drop tuning like out of the blue. Songs like Stitch, or is it Stitches? One or the other. Stitch, I think it is. And Disdain as well. They've got these massive big drops at the end of their songs. I was thinking, how on earth are they doing that, right? This whole song has been in one tune and then out of nowhere it's just dropped. So we started looking at the live performances, and the same thing was happening. On a studio record, you can do a bit of studio trickery and drop stuff. That's understandable. But live, I couldn't work it out. And I thought, are they playing like 7 strings and just ignoring the 7th string? And just saving that for right at the end. But no, going and watching the videos, Cody's there playing a Jim Root Jazzmaster 6-string guitar. And I actually had the chance to meet Cody in Manchester when I saw them live for the second time. And I asked him how he was going about doing it. I said, huge fan and stuff, but you got to tell me how you're doing this, right? And he said, oh, it's all in the Kemper, okay? It's a transpose feature, and somebody or he just hits a button on his foot controller, or somebody backstage does it for him, and it just knocks your guitar down just like that in tuning. So I thought to myself, wow, what a convenient tool, not just for songs and different tunings, if you saves you swapping guitars out and stuff like that. Because when you're doing these sets, especially if maybe you're a smaller band like my band, you've got no time to swap guitars out and stuff like that. The sets have to be quick and concise in the sort of 30 minutes that you've got to play. Another band who are using this feature quite exclusively on the Kemper in the live set is Bullet for My Valentine. They generally play in drop C and drop B. And you'll notice in their sets, if you've seen them live or you've watched live footage on YouTube or whatever, they don't change guitars now. Pretty much at all. They stick with the same guitars for every show. They play in a drop C and a drop B, and they've basically got somebody backstage who's just knocking their guitars up for, whatever song it is. So if you've got like a Don't Need You or an Over It, which is in a drop B, you've got a guy backstage who's changing it from drop B to drop C for like Waking the Demon, or whatever else they're playing in drop C. So for all you guys out there who own a Kemper and haven't used this, I'll show you guys just where it is in the Kemper and how to use it, and then I'll do some playthroughs and stuff for you. So the first thing that you'll want to do is go over to your stomp boxes, scroll through until you find the pitch shifter setting, okay? And in there, there'll be the transpose feature. That's what it is. You want to load that in. And as soon as you've loaded that in, it's very simple. You can just detune your guitar up or down from there. The other cool thing is if you've got the foot controller like I have, you can assign it to your stomps down there as well, so you can turn it off and on as you like. So if you've got a guitar that's in drop D, for instance, and your guitar is tuned to a D, you just play as normal. And then if you've got like a drop C song that's coming next, all you do is you just hit the button once and it takes you right down, and that's it. Your guitar is automatically detuned. So I'll show you what it sounds like now. You guys can sort of make your mind up for yourselves on this one. Obviously with digital pitch shifting and stuff, there is always going to be that sort of, it's not going to be perfect as if you are actually tuned down, because it is sort of like an automation. It is replicating the idea. But personally, I think the Kemper does an absolutely great job. So I'll show you what it sounds like. I'm tuned down to a drop D right now. And where I've set the transposer to is in the -2, okay? So that means it's going to knock me a whole step down from where I am. So I'm going to drop D now, like I said. So that means it's going to put me in a drop C tuning now, okay? So I'll show you how that works. So here's my drop D. I'm going to turn the transpose on from my foot controller now. So there you go, seamless, right? It's just literally one click away on the floor, you know? I think as well, it could spark a bit of creativity as well for like riffs and stuff if you're willing to sort of like pitch shift up and down, you know, throughout a song, you know. So for instance, you know, a bit like I was doing there, if you want your open note to be here. You know, it's just a really cool effect or preset, if you like, to just play with and have fun with. It might spark some sort of ideas. And again, it just saves you having to swap guitars out, or God forbid, buy a 7-string if that's not really your sort of jam, or, you know, on one of your other guitars, like stick really thick strings on it and stuff like that. I guess the question is it perfect? Probably not, but if bands are using this for like live shows and stuff like that, for the majority of it, going up and down, if it's good enough for them, you know, a band like Bullet My Valentine at the status they're at now, it's definitely good enough for me, and anybody else, especially with just doing like, you know, little YouTube videos and stuff like that, or, you know, with my band just playing like small clubs and stuff like that. It's definitely good enough for me. Now, I have used this feature to record with my covers and stuff like that. I used it for my Shadow Moses Bring Me the Horizon cover. Now, I do have other guitars with thicker strings on that I down tune to like a drop B or whatever. But I really wanted to use the Bring Me guitar since I was doing Bring Me stuff, right? And that was in just drop D at the time. That had just like normal sort of 9.5 strings on, you know, which you'd never get down to an A sharp with those on without it turning into spaghetti, you know. And I just used this feature to tune the guitar down, and I think it worked. The funny thing is when I put that cover out, I had a lot of people asking me, "Oh, what gauge strings do you use?" It's like, well, you know, I'm using only ball 9.5s here, but I really wouldn't recommend it, because what I'm doing to get that low tuning is I'm tuning my guitar down via the transpose feature on the Kemper. So I'll show you what that sounds like now. I'm going to go down a little bit further now. So again, I'm still in drop D, but I'm going to knock my guitar down all the way down to an A sharp tuning now for you guys, just so you can see what it sounds like. So again, here's my drop D guitar. Something like that, and then we go down. So I find personally that the lower you go away from where your starting point is, that's when you start to lose a little bit of clarity. So for the drop C, or rather going from my drop D guitar down to drop C, there wasn't much sort of like latency there or loss of clarity. But I find going from like a drop D all the way down to like an A sharp, which is where I'm at now, I find that there's a little bit of muddiness, maybe a touch of latency maybe, and it gets just a little bit uncanny valley. So, you know, you guys can make your own mind up here. You know, it's up to you. find as well is it works a bit better with like the slower stuff, when I'm just sort of... as opposed to like when I'm playing faster stuff. It kind of struggles to keep up a little bit, because you've got to think about it. You're sending notes into something, and it's a computer trying to like sort of like program or change what you're doing. So if you're firing stuff in at 1,000,000 miles an hour, especially when you're knocking it so far away from where your guitar actually is, I think it struggles just a touch. But hey, it's an absolutely fantastic tool, super quick and convenient, and yeah, it's just lots of fun to play with. So I guess in terms of like extremes, I guess you guys probably want to see just how low it goes, and let's see, let's see if we can get it into drop L tuning basically. So if I go over to the transposer now, you can go all the way down to -36, and you guys probably want to hear what it sounds like, and here it is. There you go. Unusable, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know who the hell would want to tune that low, but this video would probably be a bit of a letdown if I didn't go all the way that down, just to show you guys at least what it sounds like. But you can see how quick and easy it is here. I'm just literally just turning the switch right here just to... go back and forth between different pitches. I guess the other extreme of it is you guys would probably want to see what it sounds like all the way tuned up. So yeah, so I guess that's as silly as it gets with that, but just to just to prove the point, it does do the extremes for all of you probably just wanting to have a good time with it and maybe have a bit of a laugh with it. But aside from doing the stupidly low notes and all the way to something that's ridiculously high, it is a very useful tool, just going back and forth between tunings. I thought what I'd do now is just show you how I'm using it with my band, The Lost Cause. So I'm going to have to switch guitars for that, so I'll be back in 1 sec. So here I am, I've got my Epiphone Lee Malia Explorer now, which I'm using pretty much exclusively for my band now, A Lost Cause. And we tune pretty low anyway, we tune down to a drop A, okay? So that sounds pretty much like this. So there's that. That's already pretty low. But we do have one song which is released now called The Author, which has a bit of a drop in the middle of it. Originally, that song was written with a really generic sort of, 2005, 2008 metalcore first fret clash breakdown, which I never really liked. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when you're in the rehearsal space and everything is being played really loud, you hear like really weird things. I can't quite explain it, but sometimes you're sort of like hearing things that are not there. It's really weird. Like, for instance, you know, if you're in a small room and the sound is bouncing around, and especially, you know, you got the drum kit blaring away and the bass is going, it's weird. And we got to that part in the song, and it sounded to me, because I used noise protection as well, it sounded like everybody dropped. We were already playing around with the idea of like going up and down, because I had this, you know, with the Transpose feature, and the other guitar player we had at the time, he had a you know, one of those Digitech stomp boxes, pitch shifters. We had another song which did the whole sort of like up and down thing, which was never used since. But when we got to this part in the song, it just sounded to me like everybody dropped. It was really weird. I was hearing it and I thought, oh, that'd be a cool idea. So I said afterwards, I said, did you guys drop during that breakdown? Then they were like, no. I said, can we try it? So we tried it. We went down 3 steps. So I guess it's going down to like an F sharp now, I guess you could say, from an A. And I mean, you guys will have heard the song if you've checked that out. The results were devastating. So much better than you know, Asking Alexandria, Day to Remember, all that sort of stuff. So what we got is this instead. Which is, in my opinion, a lot heavier, and it kind of got my itch to do a bit of like what the Wage War guys do out a little bit as well. You know, when they drop it at the end of their songs. Our breakdown happens in the middle, but you know, I've always admired that band for, you know, doing that sort of thing. I think it's really cool when you just come out of nowhere and you know, everything just goes down. The only other thing that I would say about this is it's a bit of a head screw when you're playing at lower volume, because you can obviously hear your strings. Yeah, as well as what's coming out of your speakers. And it just makes everything sound really, really weird. In the beginning, when I first started playing around with it, I was like, oh, that sucks. I've knocked it down, but I can still hear my my original tuning coming through. And I didn't realize until I like recorded it. And I was like, oh, that's odd. No, it's knocked all the way down. I didn't realize it was just the sound of the strings that I was hearing. So that gets a little bit confusing. So if you're going to want to play around with this thing, you might want to sort of maybe use headphones or just play it quite a loud volume, as loud as you can go without that sort of throwing you off. It is quite ridiculous, you know. Personally, I think drop A is low enough, you know. Without everything starting to turn to mush, you know. Like certain ingredients in food, you only want a little bit of it. You know, if you like a bit of spice in your food, you maybe don't want like to toss the whole can of spice, and you're just going to ruin your meal. So I think it's one of those things, especially if you tune this low. I think it's one of those things just to, you know, use it sparingly and here and there, just for like little moments of like heaviness, as opposed to like keeping it on the full time. But that's a preference thing. You guys might like your guitars tuned down that low, but if you were gonna go down that low, like into like the F region, you know, or God forbid, you know, E, because I know some bands do it now. I mean, get a bass. But no, if you're gonna do that, and you know, you're gonna do a project all in that sort of low sort of tuning, I would personally suggest, you know, get a perfect guitar for that, maybe with an extended scale length, you know, baritone, you know, if you're into that realm of things, and you know, get the heavy gauge strings on there. You're gonna get a lot more accuracy by doing it that way, rather than having some machine sort of like trying to compute it for you. But like I said, for minor nuances here and there, I think it just works a treat. I do find as well as it, especially down in this low sort of region, I find it works better with like single notes as opposed to like chords and stuff. I find sort of... I find things start to get a little bit muddy, so I would maybe suggest like sticking to your single notes and stuff like that. And like I said, you know, this guitar, this is my tuned down guitar. This is for a lost cause. I tuned this thing down to an A. I don't even know the gauge of strings I've got on this. It is absolutely ridiculous how thick they are to make up for maybe the short scale length of this guitar and just the low tuning in general. But you know, there's a reason why I don't use this full time, you know, for like keeping a guitar on like drop D and just tune down to an A for my band and stuff. It just doesn't sound quite as good as if you're actually tuned down, if that makes sense. So like I said, it's a really fun tool to use. It's really super quick and convenient. But like I said, if you're looking to do, you know, like a drop B song and a drop C song, you know, that's fine. I think you could get away with it. But the further you stray away from where your guitar is actually tuned to, that's where it starts to struggle just a little bit, and you can hear it starting to work things out basically, and you can hear it starting to like push itself a little bit. So there you go, guys. That's the video. That's the Kemper Transpose feature. Really super cool, quick and convenient tool, especially for live sets or convenience when you're just wanting to play without having to swap guitars constantly and go back and forth between tunings, or even on just your one guitar that you've got. You know, saves you having to you know, knock the whole guitar down and then bring it back up. Especially if you're a Floyd Rose user as well. Yeah, because, you know, I've been down that whole rabbit hole and what a nightmare it is. You know, you kind of have to get one guitar or maybe even two guitars for different tunings, and they just stay in that tuning, because retuning a Floyd Rose is an absolute nightmare. Yes, I know there's little tips and tricks you can do to knocking a Floyd Rose up and down and stuff, but, you know, the 10 minutes that you're going to spend on that, I've just done it with one flick of a switch. Do you know what I mean? So it is super quick and convenient. So if you've got any questions, as always, just leave them down in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like, as it helps me out. Subscribe if you're new here. And of course, if you guys want to go and check my band out, A Lost Cause, there's all the links down below for you. And until next time, guys, stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.